There are many versions of Moses that we meet in the Torah. I think my favorite Moses is the one we meet in Deuteronomy. The Moses of Exodus is young and uncertain, reluctant to speak and reluctant to lead. The Moses of Numbers bears the weight of 40 years in the wilderness, grieving the loss of beloved siblings Miriam and Aaron as the burden of leadership begins to show. But the Moses of Deuteronomy is different. He is now, according to the Torah, 120 years old. He has known triumph and failure, intimacy with God, and profound loneliness. He stands at the edge of the promised land, knowing that his own journey is almost over. He has one final opportunity to speak to his people. The book of Deuteronomy is Moses' farewell address, his last lecture, his final attempt to distill everything he has learned about God, about covenant, about what it means to be the Jewish people. Yet before he begins, Moses makes one last request. V'tchanan el Adonai be'et hahi. He pleads with God to let him cross the Jordan and enter the land of Israel. He already knows the answer. God says no. For 40 years, Moses has lived for this moment. Instead, he will climb a mountain, see the land of his ancestors from afar, and die without ever entering it. What is most striking in this episode is not God's answer, but rather Moses' response to knowing the thing he most wanted will never come to pass. He could have become embittered. He could have begun to shirk his responsibilities. Instead, he devotes every remaining ounce of himself to preparing the next generation. He reminds the Israelites who they are, where they have come from, and what they are destined to become. Moses does not receive the future he dreamed of, but he refuses to let disappointment keep him from building the future that is still possible. I found myself thinking about that Moses quite a bit lately. I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up in suburban St. Louis, where somewhere between a quarter and a third of my high school was Jewish. The bar and bat mitzvah circuit was one of the hottest tickets in town. Every middle schooler coveted an invite to those parties. My non-Jewish teammates on every baseball team I played on asked thoughtful questions about Judaism with genuine curiosity and respect. There was even that familiar stereotype in high school that Jewish boys made particularly good boyfriends because they get good manners, got good grades, and highly valued their families. Whether or not that was always deserved is beside the point. The point is that growing up, being Jewish in America felt not only safe, but celebrated. Not only secure, but assured. After spending a decade living in Israel, I returned to the United States in late 2024. It did not take long to realize that something had shifted. Many of us have felt it. There is a sense that the tectonic plates beneath our feet have begun to move. Hatred that once lived on the fringes now announces itself openly. Violence against Jewish communities has increased dramatically. Casual dismissal of Jewish concerns, and sometimes of Jewish humanity itself, come from places we once assumed were safe. Friendships have become strained. Conversations have become painful. The world, to put it lightly, is not what we hoped it would be. And that realization is deeply disorienting. In our particular here and now, it is tempting to measure our present only by what we have lost, to allow fear or disappointment to define Jewish life. Moses sets the example and reminds us that there is another choice. We do not practice Judaism, we do not live Jewish lives because the world makes it easy. We do so because it is our inheritance, because it is who we are. We descend from an astonishing people. We are descendants of kings and prophets, poets and philosophers, scholars and dreamers, pioneers and soldiers. Ours is a civilization more than 3,000 years old. We gave the world Shabbat Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and the belief that every human being has certain inalienable rights because each of us were created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. We have survived empires that seemed invincible, outlived civilizations that believed themselves eternal, and transformed suffering into learning, memory into hope, and faith into action. And ours is not only a story of survival, it's a story of renewal. For nearly 2,000 years, Jews ended every Passover Seder and every Yom Kippur with the words, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, generation after generation, whispered these words without knowing whether they would or even could be fulfilled. Today they have been. For the first time in 2 millennia, there's a sovereign Jewish state, a place where Hebrew once again fills the street, where Jewish time shapes public life, a place that has absorbed Jews from more than 100 countries, revived an ancient language, defended itself against overwhelming odds, and cultivated a stunning, vibrant Jewish culture. I count it among the greatest privileges of my life and one of my deepest sources of strength that I stand before you as an American citizen by birth and an Israeli citizen by choice. Never before in our long history have Jews enjoyed the freedoms, opportunities, and influence that American Jews possess today. Never before have we had both the security of citizenship in countries like ours alongside the existence of a Jewish homeland in the land of Israel. We are among the most blessed generations our people has ever known. Our ancestors prayed for the world we inhabit. Not a perfect one, but a miraculous one all the same. Now, that does not erase the challenges before us. But it does remind us that gratitude and pride are also part of our obligations to our people and to our tradition. Like Moses, we may not live in the world we wish existed, but we do live in a world worth building. So let us answer our moments as Moses answered his, by living proudly as Jews, by loving and learning Torah, by filling our homes with Shabbat and Chagim, by standing shoulder to shoulder with our sisters and brothers in Israel and throughout the Jewish world, by refusing to let others define what it means to be a Jew. This is what Moses understood near the end of his life. Hope has never been naivete. Hope is covenant. Hope is the decision to keep building, keep teaching, keep praying, and keep believing that God is not yet finished with the Jewish people. Standing on the edge of the promised land, Moses could not control the future. Neither can we. But like Moses, we can meet that future with courage, gratitude, and Jewish pride. And if we do, then in the face of whatever challenges lie before us, we will continue to be what we have always been, the eternal people, guardians of God's covenant, builders of tomorrow, and the living proof that the Jewish story is still being written. Shabbat Shalom.